If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back again. You get me twice in one night. It's still Monday, April 22nd, and it's 11:06 p.m. Eastern Time if you're on medication. And if you're not on medication, well, perhaps you should be. All right, well, let's get into the news. Now, I had some really good news yesterday. I found out you can get cell phone chargers at the dollar store. Now, why is that good news? Because I've gone through 3 of them in as many days, and don't ask any questions about why. All right, I think you know why. All right, let's get into the news. I promised I wouldn't be so chatty. So let's just get right into it. Now, this is something that's going to make you go either, or, huh? It's going to be one of those. All right. You know Maggie Haberman, right? You know Maggie Haberman. We've talked about her for a long time. And we know that she is very against Trump, and she's very pro Hillary. And she would be the one that they wanted put a bug in her ear if they wanted something negative posted about Trump. And well, she's got all sorts of connections to the deep state. Well, look at this. Nolte, New York Times, Maggie Haberman suggests White House played a pro-Nazi anthem, Edelweiss. Okay, do you know where that is from? Now, some of you may be too young. Maybe some of you are too young to know. But it's from The Sound of Music. Yes, which was a very anti-Nazi movie. About, okay, let's look at this. I don't know, perhaps she should think about these things before she posts them. Anyway, far-left New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman suggested the song Edelweiss was a pro-Nazi anthem while it played at the White House. Okay. After reporter Nikki Schwab tweeted out that the Marine Corps band played Edelweiss at a White House event Thursday, Haberman flipped out. Does anyone at the White House understand the significance of that song, she tweeted? Well, evidently she doesn't. Yeah. So, And with a single tweet, Haberman once again managed to expose her reactionary ignorance, her lack of news judgment, and her full tilt bias when it comes to President Trump, as though he personally picks out the songs played by the Marine Corps band and tried to sneak in a little of the old white power. Yeah. Eventually, embarrassed over her neurotic alarmism in subsequent tweets, Haberman pretended she was only reporting, but what she never did, because she couldn't after learning the easily Googleable truth, was explain why she tweeted out the following question. Does anyone at the White House understand the significance of that song? Evidently, she didn't. Well, obviously, Haberman knows something about the significance of that song and is now refusing to enlighten the rest of us. Obviously, she believes she knows something the White House doesn't about the significance of that song, but she won't tell us, because she's just reporting. Thankfully, all kinds of everyday Americans who never attended a capital J journalism school were able to figure out what she believes the significance of that song is, and then they pointed and laughed at her, and I agree with them, and so do I, by the way, because that is just about the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Haberman, who is as bubbled, dishonest, and shallow of a personality as I've come across, is probably unaware of the fact that pop culture existed prior to the 1994 premiere of the sitcom Friends. So in her uninformed mind, she only connects the song Edelweiss to Amazon's disappointing water cooler show, The Man in the High Castle, a sci-fi drama set in an alternate universe where the Nazis and Japan won World War II and now occupy America. A foreboding version of Edelweiss, sung in a child's voice, plays over the show's opening credits, and so it's not difficult at all to picture the uptight Haberman's paranoid brain feverishly connecting the sinister dots. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, Man in the High Castle, Nazis. Yeah. Nazis. Orange Man bad. Must tweet. Gotcha, bad Orange Man. But actually, she didn't have the Orange Man because, yeah, Orange Man gets the last laugh, as always. What is this sound of music these people speak of? Yes, that is where Edelweiss comes from. And, yeah, it's here, and it's an anthem to their homeland. And here we have the main character, played by Christopher Plummer, and he's tearing apart a Nazi flag. And the song Edelweiss was sung as sort of a protest against what was happening to their homeland. I love that movie. I've seen it zillions of times. I mean, literally zillions. Okay, I might be exaggerating slightly, but only slightly. Other than being a lovely song that sounds as though it was written 100 years earlier, other than being an iconic tune that brings people, well, normal people, back to the innocence of watching The Sound of Music with their parents, Edelweiss is a brilliantly subversive anti-Nazi tune penned by two German Jews, Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II, for their 1959 Broadway smash, The Sound of Music. No, I was not alive in 1959, but I have still watched The Sound of Music a zillion times. For the pop culture impaired, The Sound of Music tells the true story of the Von Trapp family, and we have been to they actually eventually moved to America, and I've been to the Von Trapp Lodge. Anyway, that is neither here nor there and has absolutely nothing to do with the news. So, anyway, The Sound of Music tells the true story of the Von Trapp family, a family of singers persecuted by the Nazis in occupied Austria after their patriarch, Colonel George von Trapp, a World War I German naval hero, refused to fight for the Nazis. After losing his fortune, his talented family made a living performing songs throughout Europe before eventually escaping to America. The Von Trapp family story inspired The Sound of Music, and the song Edelweiss, which is a total showstopper, is the family's patriotic goodbye to their homeland before they flee. The physical Edelweiss is Austria's national flower, a beautiful and resilient thing. And the song says, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to meet me. And it's talking about the flower. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. So, yes, apparently Maggie Haberman called this, white power Nazi song, And I call it a showstopper because as quiet as Edelweiss is, the second and final time it is sung in the film, it is used as a blistering rebuke of Nazis and Nazism, one man's lone defiance of a monstrous ideology before he is joined by the rest of his countrymen. And it's, I don't know, I think everybody has seen the Sound of Music, but if you haven't, I love that song. I love that movie. I just love it. I know all the songs by heart. All right. You don't need to know that, but I do. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at this. I think this is a little bit more important. This kind of goes over stuff we already know. But this is extremely important. Now, what? Okay. Bill Binney states that the NSA has 32 pages of communications between Seth Rich and Julian Assange, as revealed by a Freedom of Information Act request. Now, you think about it. Now, he put in a Freedom of Information request, okay? But it was denied because it's top secret, all right? But they have 32 pages of communications, which they cannot give because it's top secret. But it proves that there was communication between Seth Rich and Julian Assange. Does that not prove it? It does, because the NSA has 32 pages of communications. 32. So, to me, this just proves, it proves that, all these people that are saying, oh, there was nothing, no, he wasn't in communication with Julian Assange. No, he's not the whistleblower. No, he wasn't the one that was giving Julian Assange information. Really? Well, then why does the NSA have communication? 32 pages, which is top secret between those two. Answer that. Riddle me that. Okay. About 6 months ago, a blog post by Publius Tacitus appeared regarding attorney Ty Clevenger's Freedom of Information Act regarding Seth Rich. But now there is new information that may corroborate what the human sources quoted in the Fox article claimed about Seth's role in getting the DNC documents to WikiLeaks, born from a Freedom of Information Act request filed in November 2017 by attorney Ty Clevenger, who requested any information regarding Seth Rich and Julian Assange. The NSA informed Clevenger in a letter dated the 4th of October 2018 that, and listen to this, your request has been processed under the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act. 15 documents, 32 pages, responsive to your request have been reviewed by this agency as required by the Freedom of Information Act and have found to be currently and properly classified in accordance with Executive Order 13526. These documents meet the criteria for classification as set forth in subparagraph C of Section 1.4 and remains classified top secret and secret. If NSA had come back and said, no, we do not have anything pertaining to Seth Rich, that would have been news. It would have been especially unwelcome news for those that believe Seth Rich. Hang on here. It would have been especially unwelcome news for those who believe that Seth was the source on the DNC emails. And of course, we know he was. But now the opposite is true. The NSA says that it has documents that are classified top secret and secret. What do those documents say or prove? That remains to be seen. But evidently, it's true. If they had come back and said, no, we don't have any documents pertaining to Seth Rich and Julian Assange, then that would have been it. Case closed. Sorry, but there's no connection there between his death and, that he probably wasn't involved in passing information to Julian Assange. But we have the opposite here. And it can't be accessed because it's classified top secret or secret and secret. So, interesting. No, I think it is. All right, now let's go back. Thought you would find that particularly fascinating if that's the first time you hear that. I haven't heard anybody else reporting on it, but one never knows. And this, it just never stops. This from Breaking News Live. Breaking, citing details from the Mueller report, 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren calls for the U.S. House to initiate impeachment proceedings against President Trump. Of course, she doesn't get into why or on what grounds he should be impeached. And don't you need those? Don't you actually have to have grounds? There has been no impeachable offense committed. Per Mueller, no collusion, no obstruction. Exonerated. But somebody needs to tell Elizabeth Warren perhaps they should send her smoke signals. Perhaps, that's the best way to communicate with her. I don't know. Anyway, now, let's see this from real James Woods. Always a delight. You're gonna love this. I'm telling you, gonna love it. Okay. You ready? Hang on here.
Here you have a president who I can tell you and guarantee you is in collusion with the Russians. I say that he was in collusion with Putin. I believe that there really has been collusion. I say that he was in collusion with the Kremlin. I am so depending on our special counsel, Robert Mueller, to connect the dots, to connect those dots, connect the dots, 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 dots. The dots are connected. The dots are getting closer. If there was collusion, we'll get to collusion. I have my hopes for Mueller, as most people do. I think it's going to be proven that if Mueller does his job, I believe there was collusion, and collusion will lead to impeachment. It's going to lead right to impeachment, and he ought to be impeached. So I believe it is possible to impeach him, that we need to impeach him. How long is it going to take? I don't know, but I give it to about December. We've got to get the facts. We've got to do the investigation. That is what leads to impeachment. I think it will lead to the impeachment of this president. We've got him.
Oh, you think so? Dots, dots, dots. I don't know why, but every time I see that, it makes me laugh. I don't know who put that together, but whoever did it, I guess the Washington Free Beacon, it's hysterical, and it was retweeted by James Woods. But yeah, love that, and I knew you guys would too if you haven't seen it. So let's go back. Alrighty then, and let's take a look at this. And you know what? I'm gonna have to come back to this because I can't remember what this is all about. But let's read some of this. If the dossier was known to be unverified and fake, how then was an investigation started to begin with? At what point did Mueller determine there was no collusion? 18 months ago. Was the investigation kept ongoing as a talking point to rig the midterm elections? Was the investigation kept ongoing to, okay, this is pretty much going over the tweet, the Q post from the 19th. So I'm going to come back to that because it's been a couple days since I looked at it, and I can't actually remember all the ins and outs of what I was trying to show you there. And if I don't know, then, I can't communicate what it's getting late. Let's go back. And let's look at this. And again, all right, let's not go back. Let's go back here. And let's look at this from Dan Bongino. The most powerful surveillance tools known to humankind were employed against Trump team member Carter Page, and absolutely nothing of substance was found. Yet the media and the police state Democrats are entirely incurious about the genesis of the whole scandalous case. Unreal. Well, you know why they're incurious about it? Because they already know. They knew. Maybe not all of the Democrats, maybe not everyone, but the top Democrats, oh yes, they knew. You don't think Maxine Waters knew? Pelosi, Warren, Schumer? You don't think these people knew? Adam Schiff? Sure they knew. They knew. That's why they're not curious. They don't want to find out because the trail leads to them. Some of them, anyway. All right. Now, this is going to make you upset. I'm just telling you in advance because it will. If it doesn't, you better check your pulse. Planned Parenthood kept aborted babies alive to harvest organs, ex-technician says. And this is from the Washington Times. So I would say it's pretty reliable. I mean, yeah, they don't always tell the truth, but um, well, the Washington Times is pretty good, actually. It's the Washington Post that you have to watch. Planned Parenthood kept aborted babies alive to harvest organs, ex-technician says. Pro-life group releases seventh undercover video. And in an undercover video released Wednesday, a former technician for a tissue harvesting company details how an aborted baby was kept alive so that its heart could be harvested at a California Planned Parenthood facility, raising more legal questions about the group's practices. Holly O'Donnell, a former blood and tissue procurement technician, isn't that a nice way of saying blood and tissue procurement technician for the biotech startup STEM Express, also said she was asked to harvest an intact brain from the late-term male fetus whose heart was still beating after the abortion. A stem cell express survivor gave me the scissors and told me that I had to cut down the middle of the face, and I can't even describe what it feels like, said Mrs. O'Donnell, who had been featured in earlier videos by the Center for Medical Progress, a pro-life group that previously had released 6 undercover clips involving Planned Parenthood personnel and practices. David Daladin, the video project leader, said the undercover footage and interviews shows that fetuses are sometimes delivered intact and alive before their organs are harvested. The Federal Born Alive Infants Protection Act of 2002 says that when a child is born alive, including having a beating heart, he or she is a legal person and has a right to life-saving medical care. But of course, they're looking at the dollar signs. That's all they're thinking about. They're not thinking about the fact that this is a living, breathing human being. This makes me so upset. It's so upset. Abortion's bad enough, but when a baby is born alive, they are disobeying the law by harvesting organs instead of rendering medical assistance to this child. It's unbelievable. Like, sometimes I just say, Father, forgive us, as a nation for what we've done and what we've allowed. I don't even know, and I'm not even sure I want to know the amount of children that have been aborted. It's mind-boggling. Anyway, let's go back. I told you that would not be a pleasant subject, and indeed it was not. But I think it's important that we understand exactly what's happening. All right. Now, this from Donald Trump Jr., who is responding to Byron York. He said, "You're not going to believe this, but the New York Times says the Steele dossier is not true." And Donald Trump Jr., his words, not mine, "Huh? No shit. After being heralded as the greatest document since the Magna Carta, now it's not true? Would have been nice for them to make even the slightest effort to verify it over the past 2 years. They wanted it to be true so badly, any and all standards went out the window." And he's right. He's right. They just wanted it to be true. Now they're like, you're not going to believe this. The Steele dossier is not true. Really? Wow, we never imagined that. And this from T. Rose Dreams, and I do know that she is a listener here as well. And she is retweeting this by Julio Gonzalez. "I heard if you hold the Mueller report up to your ear, you can hear the sound of Hillary losing again." Well, I bet you can. Love that. I think I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to print that off and try it. Hold it up to my ear and see if I can hear Hillary losing again, because I enjoyed that. I know that's mean. I know it's mean. It's mean-spirited, but I did enjoy seeing her lose. I have to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoyed seeing her lose. And every day I get up, I think like, oh, it's a wonderful day because Hillary isn't president. It's true. Yep, it's true. So when you get up and you're having a bad day, look at yourself in the mirror and go, look, self, it could be worse. It could be much worse. Hillary could be president. Could always be worse. All right. Now, Look at this. Now, this is this news is a little bit older because I've been meaning to bring it, but well, you know how things are. Life gets in the way sometimes, and things like that. But if you haven't heard this already, I think you should. No, really, I do. Author John Grisham. Now, I think everybody knows who John Grisham is. If you don't, I don't know where you've been living. Author John Grisham says not all who view child pornography are pedophiles. It's kind of like saying, not everybody that, rapes women are rapists. Not everybody that murders are murderers. Really. Just because you steal doesn't mean you're a thief. Does it? Not necessarily. Just because you lie doesn't make you a liar. Yeah, John Grisham, I think if you're out there viewing kitty porn, you're probably a pedophile. I'm just saying. American author John Grisham has become the center of a great deal of controversy after a recent interview where he explained that U.S. judges have gone nuts with locking up sex offenders, and not everyone who looks at child pornography is necessarily a pedophile. Well, I don't think that people are doing hard prison time just for looking, unless they're passing it across, yeah. Grisham's reasoning, although perhaps slightly warped, slightly? Oh, full warp, coincides with a growing consensus among intellectuals that imprisoning those who view child porn may not be the most effective solution. Well, what would the most effective solution be? What do? You just let them loose? Not around my kids. Okay, I don't have kids, but if I did, not, oh, yeah. So, what is the best solution? I don't think anybody's come up with one because I don't think they've ever found a cure. And that is why they keep pushing that it is just another sexual orientation. It's fine. Kids don't mind. Yeah. In an interview with The Telegraph, Grisham explained how he has no sympathy for a real pedophile, but believed that 60-year-old white man who had never harmed anybody and would never touch a child did not deserve to be sent to prison for 10 years. This is not Grisham's first time criticizing the American judicial system. In the past, he had commented on how he thought U.S. judges went overboard and didn't need to lock up white-collar criminals or young teens on petty drug charges. The Telegraph reported, still, this latest accusation is bound to be the most shocking. And I would agree. Grisham justifies his belief by recanting the story of his friend who, in a drunken stupor, pushed the wrong buttons, went too far, and got into child porn. He claims the site said 16-year-old wannabe hookers, and although the man never physically touched a child, he was still arrested in a child porn sting. He couldn't have done it. It was stupid, but it wasn't 10-year-old boys. He didn't touch anything, and God, a week later, there was a knock on the door. FBI, explained Grisham, adding, there's so many of them now. You know what? I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a minute. I just don't. I don't believe that you are going to be caught up in a child porn sting for just pushing the wrong button. Come on. Does he think we're all born yesterday? These people honestly think we're idiots. They do. His argument, however, does hold truth. No, it doesn't. There have been an increase in prosecution of child porn users, as there should be. This Families Against Mandatory Minimums report that the average length of federal sentences for child pornography has increased by 500%. And well, it should. Because if you're looking at porn of any sort that involves a child. Now, 16 wannabe hookers. I mean, okay, I don't know. I don't know what the cutoff line is. It 18? I don't know. But I don't believe this. I don't believe that somebody that just pushes the wrong button and sees something inadvertently and gets out is going to be sent to prison. I have a hard time believing that. I really do, because I'm not stupid. And I wasn't born yesterday, nor the day before, or the day before that. All right, so anyway, that's it for that. And I'm not going to read the rest of that because it makes me ill. Okay, now let's look at this. No, really. Let's. Ex-Clinton official leads dark money effort to boot Kavanaugh from teaching gig. They never quit, do they? They never, ever quit. They're still railing on poor Judge Kavanaugh. A top aide to Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, now leading a liberal dark money group, is backing a student effort at George Mason University, or is it Mason? I'm not sure, to get Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh fired from teaching a summer course over misconduct allegations. So they're trying to get him fired from teaching this summer course at George Mason or Mason University over misconduct allegations. A group calling itself Mason for Survivors began circulating a petition last month, so far attracting nearly 5,000 signatures urging to terminate and void all contracts and affiliation with Brett Kavanaugh at George Mason University on the grounds that the justice was accused of misconduct. He was accused? I could accuse somebody of anything. Doesn't mean they're guilty. Now does it? I could accuse you of, I don't know, being a pickle, but you're not. I don't know where that came from. You're probably not a pickle. Don't take offense. Anyway, but the campaign is being given a partisan boost thanks to Brian Fallon, former press secretary for Clinton's 2016 campaign, who's now in charge of Demand Justice, a liberal advocacy group that doesn't disclose its funding. Well, when somebody doesn't disclose their funding, you got to wonder about that, don't you? Fallon and his group are paying for Facebook ads that target anyone linked with George Mason University, urging them to sign the petition, in addition to signing a separate petition that calls upon the Democrats in Congress to investigate Kavanaugh. I thought that was done already. Yeah, I remember that being done. Yeah, pretty sure. There was like a lady there. What was her name? Christine Blasey Ford. Two-door Ford. That's what I called her. Yep, two-door Ford. Well, she's got $1 million out of it, so she's got plenty of money now to put in more doors. She could be a 4-door Ford. Maybe even put in a sunroof. Brett Kavanaugh's performance during his testimony in front of the Senate was a disgrace. I wouldn't have said so. His blatant partisan attacks and hostile behavior towards senators calls into question his ability to serve as a fair and impartial judge. His conduct undermines the legitimacy of his decisions and the entire Supreme Court. Speaking of Supreme Court, where's Ruth these days? I think the Supreme Court is ruthless. Just my opinion. Read the ad on Facebook on Friday. We're calling on Congress to open an investigation into Kavanaugh right now. Fallon justified the move in a news release saying the allegations raised during the confirmation hearing last year, in his view, were credible. Brett Kavanaugh has been credibly accused of sexual assault. Oh, credibly accused, really? You called her credible. Wow, that's something. By multiple women whose allegations have not been thoroughly investigated. Well, see, now I thought they were. Yeah, I was under the impression that they were thoroughly investigated, because if they could have found anything, they would have. Fallon said his confirmation to the Supreme Court does not absolve him of guilt, and he should not be given a platform to teach. We stand with survivors. Oh, you think Two-Door Ford is a survivor? and urged the George Mason University administration to fire Kavanaugh. Yeah. So there you go. And I'm not going to go through the rest of this, but it's just important to know that Hillary Clinton, 2016 presidential campaign, leading a dark money group. Yep, trying to get rid of Justice Kavanaugh from teaching a summer course over misconduct allegations that were disproved. Yeah. There we go. That's the world we're living in. These people, honestly, I don't know how they sleep at night because, I mean, if I just do something little, it bothers my conscience. But apparently they don't have any conscience. I guess you couldn't have a conscience and do the things that they do. You couldn't, because I don't know how you'd live with yourself, really. Anyway, let's go back. There's more news. Alrighty, now this is good news, good news, good news. Because we all need a little bit of good news, don't you think? I think we do. Alrighty. President Trump reverses Obama's anti-Christian refugee policy. Because you see, sure, they were letting in refugees, but not the Christian refugees, who are the ones that are being slaughtered, were being slaughtered en masse. Not as much now, but they're still being slaughtered. In fact, I was reading somewhere just recently, 1 in 10 Christians worldwide, 1 in 10 worldwide, has either been persecuted, imprisoned, or killed for their faith. We are so fortunate here in North America because we have not yet been persecuted, and what we call persecution is very light compared to our, if you're a believer, our brothers and sisters in the Lord in other countries. They are being slaughtered, they're being sent to prison, they are being persecuted. But now President Trump has reversed Obama's anti-Christian refugee policy, and that is good news because some of these people are, they're being, well, let me just read this. After declaring that Christians have been horribly treated by the refugee program under former President Barack Obama, President Donald Trump has reversed the Obama administration's disgraceful discrimination against Christian refugees. According to a Pew Research Center analysis of U.S. State Department refugee data during the period from January 21, 2017, President Trump's first full day in office through June 30th, 9,598 Christian refugees arrived in the U.S. compared with 7,250 Muslim refugees. Christians make up 50% of all refugee arrivals in this period compared with 38% who are Muslim. From April through June 2017, Iraq was the only Muslim majority nation among the top 6 origin countries. The number of Syrian refugees admitted to the U.S. from January 21st, 2017 through June 30th, 2017 was 1,779. Comparing the number of refugee admissions from Syria for the entire month of January with the entire month of February 2017. The number dropped by nearly half. By June 2017, the number of refugees admitted from Syria was about 26%, already low number of 673 admitted in February. By contrast, Pew Research Center reported that in fiscal year 2016, Barack Obama's first full fiscal year as president, the U.S. admitted the highest number of Muslim refugees of any year since data on self-reported religious affiliations first became publicly available in 2002. Overall, the number of Muslims admitted as refugees exceeded the number of Christians who were admitted. Of the 12,486 refugees from Syria admitted to the United States during the same fiscal year by Obama administration, about 99% were Muslim and less than 1% were Christian. Estimates of the Christians' proportion of the total population of Syria have ranged from 5 to 10% since the onset of the Syrian civil war. Muslims made up 87% of Syria's total population. Former Secretary of State John Kerry, okay, we don't care what he has to say. Let me see. Obama's walk through his version of Christian history somehow balances out in his mind the genocide committed by jihadists against Christians on his own watch. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. And what's to say? Obama followed a deliberate anti-Christian refugee policy while condescendingly lecturing Christians to remember the misdeeds he says were committed in the name of Christ many years ago. During a national prayer breakfast in 2015, for example, Obama said, "And lest we get on our high horse and think that this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. In our home country, slavery and Jim Crow all too often was justified in the name of Christ." Obama's walk through his version of Christian history somehow balances out in his mind the genocide committed by jihadists against Christians on his own watch. Obama not only insulted Christians who have been facing persecution and death on a mass scale at the hands of Islamist terrorists, he twisted history in trying to involve his moral relativism. He conveniently left out the Crusades were a response to Muslim invasions that had resulted in the capture of 2/3 of the old Christian world, and that Christian churches took a leadership role in the fight against slavery and segregation. Thus, it is no surprise that Obama sharply criticized the suggestion that persecuted Christians be given preference for admission as refugees. He said that when I hear political leaders suggesting that there would be a religious test for which persons who's fleeing from a war-torn country is admitted, that's shameful, Obama added. That's not America. It's not who we are. Obama's refugee policy was both shameful and not American. It discriminated against Christians and other non-Muslim minority religious groups who needed refugee status protection the most, while vastly favoring the one group of refugees from Syria and other Middle Eastern countries who needed protection the least: Sunni Muslims. The policy ignored the UN Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, which defined the crime of genocide as including acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or part a religious group, emphasis added. Obama's refugee policy also ignored the fact that refugee is defined in the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees as including someone who is unable or unwilling to return to their country of origin owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted because of that person's religion. Yeah. So glad, so thankful that Trump has reversed this. So thankful. Very, very thankful, because no doubt it is saving Christian lives, because we know that when Christians are the minority in a country, they are slaughtered. Really slaughtered. Actually slaughtered. All right. Now, let's go back. No, seriously, let's. Here we go. Now, this is another piece I've been holding for a while. I've meant to bring it many, many times, but I am bringing it now. If you haven't already heard this, it will be very good news to you. New Georgia ethics chief says he will subpoena Abrams' campaign records. I don't know about you, but it makes me smile. Makes me smile big. The new director of the State Ethics Commission plans to subpoena bank records from the campaign of 2018 Democratic gubernatorial nominee Stacey Abrams and groups that raised money to help her in last year's nationally watched race. Former Douglas County prosecutor David Amati, who started his new job Monday, also said his office will soon decide whether to prosecute the campaigns of Atlanta mayoral candidates. Amati's predecessor, Stefan Ritter, was accused of stalling investigations after the commission audited campaign records from the organizations last year. Ritter, who was also accused of watching porn at work, resigned earlier this year. Abrams is expected to announce soon whether she will run for the U.S. Senate or president next year or run for governor in 2022. I don't know what to say. Is everybody running for president or running for, well, I guess she's not running for president, U.S. Senate or president? Who knows? Boy, Trump's going to have a real easy win, isn't he? Seriously. Lauren Groh-Wargo, Abrams' former campaign manager, said the Abrams campaign worked diligently to ensure compliance throughout the election, and had we been notified of any irregularities, would have immediately taken action to rectify them. I believe that. In-depth reporting on local issues. There you go. Now, when was this? This is quite a while ago, actually, because I've been meaning to bring it for a while. It was April 11th, so yeah, I'm a bit late. Like 11 days late. Sorry. I did want to bring it earlier, but, you know, sometimes Q gets in the way, because when Q's posting, got a report on that. All right. Now, let's see what else we have here. I also wanted to, I don't think I showed you guys this, and again, this is old news, but did want to show it to you, that indeed Embassy Cat is fine. And here, Embassy Cat, we can confirm that Assange's cat is safe. Assange asked his lawyers to rescue him from the embassy threats in mid-October. They will be reunited in freedom, and there's Embassy Cat watching his papa get arrested. So there you go. Embassy Cat is okay. He's in good hands. We can rest assured. But now, whether Assange is in good hands, I certainly hope so. I really certainly hope so. And I hope that Q posts soon and that we have a little bit of news on that, because I don't know about you, but every day I'm kind of, you know, I wish that we'd hear something. I wish we'd hear something, because I don't know. I'm hoping he's in the US, and I'm hoping he is not in the custody of the UK, but I don't know. I do think that he will be testifying, and I do believe that he is probably in protective custody. At least I hope he is, and I hope nothing horrendous is happening to him. I do pray for his safety, and I think if you are a believer, you can pray as well, because I think that it's in all of our best interest that he is able to testify. I think really it is, because he's got a lot of information that can put a lot of people away. At least, let's hope he does. Okay, now I think that's it for tonight. I do have some other news, but it's really old by now. What's this down here? Yes. I wanted to bring this to you too. And again, this is old news now, but North Carolina Senate passed a Born Alive abortion bill. The bill specifies that those who do not treat babies who survive abortion as newborn patients could face a felony charge and active prison time, along with a potential $250,000 in fines. So that to me is very good news. At least North Carolina is doing the right thing, and I'm happy to hear that, because you know, I don't like abortion of any kind, and I know there's arguments, but I just have a hard time as a Christian. I can't endorse the killing of a child, and so, and especially if the child is born alive during the process of an abortion and the child is living. I mean, at that point, I think that it's horrendous to not render aid. I can't imagine. I don't even think you would do that with an animal, really. You know, I couldn't go by an animal that I saw struggling or, you know, needed help and not help. So, let alone a baby. I don't know. So anyway, I think that just about does it for tonight. Anyway, we do have more, but I did want to show you. Let me see. I've got to show you this. What's hairstyle? Jazz Houston Rockets. Give me one more second. I gotta find this for you. Women's hairstyle. Jazz Houston. Because I don't know why, and I'm not making fun of this poor woman, I'm not at all, but when I look at this picture, it just makes me smile, and I have to show you. Here it is. I knew I'd find it if I, okay. You got to see this. Now, it went viral, so chances are you've probably already seen it. Oh, it's can't find it. Maybe they've taken this down. Like maybe she complained, or oh, here it is. There she, there she is. This is the woman at what Houston Rockets playoff game, Utah Jazz Houston Rockets playoffs game, and they just happened to catch her in the audience, and it went viral because of her hairstyle. But I don't know what it is about this picture, but I feel like it makes me smile, and not in a way of poking fun of her and making fun of her. It just there's something about this picture that just makes you smile or makes you happy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Is it just me? Because I know I'm a little bit off center, but I don't know who this woman is, but I love her. I got to tell you, I love this woman. Yes, she has a wild hairstyle, but you know what? Be yourself. That's what I say. Because, everybody else is taken. So be an individual. If she wants to have hair like that, she can. I like her. But they caught several pictures of her. And I must say, it's funny. I don't care who you are. It's funny. So, no, I'm not making fun of her in particular. It's just with the hairstyle and the look, it's humorous. But you got to love someone that's willing to be themselves. So there you go. Now I'm going to end on that now that we've had our little smile for the day, and well, there I am. Hey. That's it for tonight, and I will be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have some Q posts tomorrow, but if not, there is always tons of news. Tons. I only touched on a little teeny bit of it, but there is so much happening, and I am on top of it for you. So really right on top of it. So there you go, and thank you guys so much for listening, and I appreciate you listening. I appreciate the coffee that you buy me, and my Patreon supporters. Thank you so much, and thank you for your encouraging comments as always, and you keep me entertained. You really do. I know so many of you say that I keep you entertained, but you guys entertain me just as much, really. We have some very, very funny people, and if you peruse the comments, you will see we do, and I appreciate them. I appreciate all of you. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a great night. Sleep well, stay safe, and remember, seek truth, because deception bites. It does.